people's choice is...
Rachel
Zegler!
From Disney princess to Hollywood's queen of disaster, how did Rachel Zegler shatter the mirror of her fairy tale career?
I'm constantly fishing myself. I don't know how I pulled her off. I made it the old or something.
I wanted my money back. It was very disappointing.
They are pretending like Rachel Zegler is the fairest of them all when she looks like Lord Farquaad in the film.
The Snow White version is woke and feminist and progressive.
Rachel Zegler, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infantata is the only global solution.
They're leaning into woke. Hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash.
So she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
Of course, like with everything on the left these days, they just take it too far.
It just doesn't make any sense. It makes a little bit more sense. Gaslight people so easily.
The new Disney boss babe, who is Rachel Zegler, the inverse of happy.
Nobody wants a movie about true love? What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? It's the outrage.
So the two stars hate each other.
Now, I'm guessing that she's not married. I'm guessing that she doesn't have kids. The movie is a complete disaster, by the way.
Every way that Disney changed the story, it changed it for the worse.
So apparently, according to them and according to the writers of Snow White, women can't even want to be in love anymore.
Rachel Zegler was one of Hollywood's up-and-coming talents, a Latina actress chosen by Steven Spielberg himself to star in West Side Story at 17. Poised to shine like a supernova, she stumbled through a chain of bad publicity moves. Is Disney partly responsible, or did she dig her own grave? Let's dive in. Born in 2001 in Hackensack, New Jersey, Rachel Zegler grew up with a Colombian mother and Polish father, immersed in theatre from a young age. At 16, her YouTube cover of Lady Gaga's Shallow exploded, racking up millions of views.
I'm off the deep end, watch as I dive in. I'll never meet the ground.
In 2018, she auditioned for Steven Spielberg's West Side Story remake, beating out 30,000 other hopefuls to play Maria. Her performance stunned critics. She brought raw emotion to classics like Tonight and I Feel Pretty. However, at just 19, Zegler faced perhaps unfair scrutiny for not directly addressing or condemning SA misconduct allegations against her West Side Story co-star Ansel Elgort, drawing criticism for a vague tweet. In 2021, she made Forbes' 30 Under 30 list and made her Broadway debut playing Juliet in a musical adaptation of William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. A year later, at just 20, she won a Golden Globe for Best Actress in a musical or comedy, the youngest winner in that category and the first of Colombian descent. Hollywood took notice. She landed roles in Shazam, Fury of the Gods and the Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, where her portrayal of Lucy Greybeard earned more praise. Despite her swift rise to fame, rumours have emerged about Rachel Zegler being challenging to work with on set. Allegations claim she was overly assertive, reportedly questioning the director's camera angles, disputing costume designs, and challenging script decisions, though these claims lack confirmation from any crew members. That wasn't the end of it. She faced backlash for a video mockingly reading Britney Spears' tweets targeting Jamie Lynn Spears during their feud over Britney's legal battle, with fans accusing her of mocking Britney's trauma. Zegler quickly deleted the video and apologized on Twitter, expressing regret and admiration for Spears, though the immediate aftermath saw mixed responses.
With these crazy lies for the Hollywood books. Now and only now, I do know only a scum person would make up such things about someone.
Fortunately, she diffused the fire in appearances on major talk shows Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, and Drew Barrymore to promote her various roles and cemented her as a rising star in the industry. Rachel Zegler's rapid ascent to fame was overshadowed by her bold outspokenness, which sparked controversy. A string of public missteps transformed her from a Hollywood favorite to a polarizing figure online. Her casting as Snow White in Disney's live-action remake immediately received racist backlash due to her Latina heritage. But Zegler's fiery response, tweeting then deleting, "Yes, I am Snow White, no, I am not bleaching my skin for the role," amplified criticism, with detractors labeling her dismissive and divisive. Zegler further stirred controversy by critiquing Disney's 1937 Snow White, calling it weird for its stalker prince and outdated gender roles. This ignited fury among a legion of fans of the original animated classic.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
She added fuel to the fire by casually stating she wouldn't feel bad if her co-star's role as the prince was cut from the remake, underscoring the film's emphasis on female empowerment.
The love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. But
In August 2024, Zegler celebrated the release of Snow White's trailer by posting on X, thanking her fans, but ending with, "And always remember, free Palestine." This sparked backlash from Israel supporters and was complicated by co-star Gal Gadot's Israeli heritage.
You know, I really don't remember you being this opinionated.
My apologies. It's just, I feel they need some kindness.
During an American Actors Union protest for equal pay, Rachel Zegler demanded pay for every hour Snow White is streamed, sparking backlash for perceived entitlement given her reported multi-million-dollar Disney contract.
I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
Critics argued her comments were tone-deaf, entitled and narcissistic, while supporters saw her advocating for fair residuals for all industry workers. The nail in the proverbial coffin was her Instagram tirade when Donald Trump won the presidential election, cursing his supporters. Not the brightest move, as they make up a majority of the US population, Zegler's bold voice, once a strength, prompted Disney to recognize that in the social media age, a few viral soundbites can ignite a cultural firestorm.
Vote for Kamala Harris. And it's actually non-negotiable. Our rights are on the line, folks. Our reproductive rights. Come on. Go vote blue. And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business. Thanks.
May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. Get the off Elon's app, by the way. Are you doing? He helped that man get elected and you're giving him business. I will love through these 4 years as best I can. Donald Trump. A string of outspoken comments quickly turned the narrative against Rachel Zegler. Producer Mark Platt flew to New York to urge Zegler to remove her controversial posts, but she declined. An ex-user criticized the situation, calling it creepy, prompting a response from Jonah Platt, Mark's son. "You really want to do this?" "Yeah, my dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie, for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, and her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of the colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged.
Have you ever been to that Snow White ride at Disneyland?
I get stopped for photos every time I'm online for the Snow White ride, and it is I have to pretend like, oh God, well, crazy that we're in front of this.
Wait, how often are you in line for the Snow White ride?
I'm a narcissist.
Would you take your kids to go see Snow White? Your girls?
No.
It's supposed to be a kids movie, and all this drama's in it.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
The star, Rachel Zegler, is unbelievably charmless in public.
She was, as woke as they are.
She just sounds bitter and angry.
I don't think they're gonna buy it. I don't think they're gonna watch it. I don't think they're gonna like it.
Every time she speaks, she gets less likable.
This truly is the worst casting, maybe, in the history of the film industry.
Rachel Zegler, she's an asshole.
You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White. Right. You should shut up.
Spend 1 minute on Snow White and how it totally imploded at the box office this weekend.
Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim, and that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. Like, she acts like her life is so bad.
I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
Despite Disney's frantic attempts to mitigate the fallout from Rachel Zegler's controversial comments, their damage control efforts proved futile, as the backlash had already spiraled beyond containment, as Disney projected a $200 to $300 million loss, and Zegler became the scapegoat. Her once promising career seemed to crumble under the weight of her own words. It could be argued that Zegler's misstep with Snow White wasn't all her own doing. Disney's recent aggressive pivot to woke remakes of classics leaned heavily into progressive themes, alienating fans who cherished Disney's original fairy tale charm. The casting ignited racial and political controversies, while the shift to CGI dwarfs, possibly influenced by Peter Dinklage's critique of the original dwarf portrayal as backwards, led to expensive reshoots and denied actors with dwarfism job opportunities. Ultimately, driven by misguided executive choices, controversial casting, and flawed scripting, the project alienated audiences, reflecting a wider trend that preceded her involvement. The film was delayed for over a year due to a union strike halting production and promotion. When Snow White finally released in March 2025, it was a catastrophe. The film, with a $270 million budget ballooned by reshoots, earned just $87 million globally in its opening weekend. Snow White garnered a 1.6 out of 10 IMDb rating, with 91% of votes awarding it just 1 star, leading IMDb to issue a rare review bombing warning, one of the lowest scores for a $250 million blockbuster. It also struggled on Rotten Tomatoes, with a 40% critic score, though it earned a stronger 74% audience popcorn meter, highlighting a critic-public divide. On Metacritic, critics averaged 50%, while users overwhelmingly panned it with a 1.2 out of 10 rating with a plethora of zeros. Social media posts echoed this, branding the film so woke it will brainwash kids and a virtue-signaling piece of trash. Zegler and Disney executives should share equal blame, potentially signaling a need for the studio to not only rethink its creative direction, but perhaps overhaul their entire team to prevent any further damage to the iconic brand. David Hand, son of the original director, called it a disgrace for lacking respect for Walt Disney's original vision. It will undoubtedly end up being the biggest box office flop of 2025.
Everyone who hates when I win
The winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
The release saw a sharp decline in audience turnout after opening weekend with an abysmal average of 17 tickets sold per theatre. Cumulative domestic earnings fell far below the film's massive budget, with empty theatre seats becoming a symbol of its failure. Zegler faced intense scrutiny with sensationalized reports and YouTube videos claiming she was emotionally distraught as numerous venues worldwide pulled the film. In the aftermath, Rachel Zegler faced relentless mockery and parody across various platforms, with shows like South Park and The Simpsons satirizing her public persona and controversies.
Eric, it's okay. It's okay. Mom, I had a dream that I was replaced by a diverse woman. Oh, not again. Yeah, only this time, it wasn't just me. They were taking all my favorite people and replacing them with diverse women complaining about the patriarchy. Will you check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there? I promise there's not.
But they're my own original creation. There's Krabby, Drunky, Hungry, Greedy, Lenny, Kearney, and Doc.
Social media amplified the backlash as memes, viral videos, and critical posts dissected her statements and actions, often exaggerating them for comedic effect.
In place of the patriarchy, you would have a queen! Not white, but diverse, inclusive, and equitable! I will become the leader I know I can be! All shall love me and despair!
Get away from her, you hideous hag! Oh, what has she done to you? Fear not, First Love's kiss can break any curse.
I had it with these fucking apples in this fucking forest. And if you think I'm some helpless little princess, well, you better guess again. 'Cause I'm Snow White, fucker.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story, just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie. Andrew Burnap, great dude. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Late-night talk shows and online influencers joined the fray, weaving her name into skits and commentary that kept the controversy alive. Despite attempts to clarify her positions, the wave of ridicule persisted, cementing her as a polarizing figure in pop culture and sparking debates about accountability, satire, and the limits of public criticism.
I know I can't take no more. It ain't no lie. I want to see you out that door, baby. Bye. By the way, all your scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. No! Oh, sweet, sweet silence. Oh my gosh! It's OG Snow White, everybody! Disney must have thrown her in the void!
Is it finally over? Am I really home?
Yes, you are, sweetheart. Yes, you are.
Seeking to distance herself from Hollywood's toxic spotlight, Rachel Zegler returned to her musical roots, taking on the prestigious role of Evita in London's theatre scene, directed by Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice. Yet the production's struggling ticket sales have sparked murmurs that lingering controversies around Zegler, which has extended to boycotts of her theatrical work, may be to blame. Could this possibly signal the end of her career, with her reputation as box office poison, posing too great a risk for any major production or movie studio to take a chance on? Zegler's story serves as a cautionary tale of authenticity in an industry that often demands conformity. Her bold, authentic voice earned her a Golden Globe at 19, breaking barriers but also amplified missteps into viral controversies that led to her career downfall. Despite this, she has youth on her side, and history has shown entertainers making remarkable comebacks after major career setbacks. Proving resilience can lead to redemption.
Everybody knows you never go full retard. You went full retard, man.
Has Rachel Zegler learned that strategic restraint and humility can help her stay authentic in the spotlight without causing drama, and that owning her mistakes fosters growth? Only through the mirror of self-reflection can she truly assess her choices and find answers. In the cracked mirror's glare, where echoes of her name splinter and sigh, Rachel Zegler weaves redemption's thread through the pulse of her unyielding heart's cry.
To be a powerful princess, you just need to be wonderful